Welcome to the Ed Answer Key, the podcast where in the time it takes to complete hall duty and attendance, we embark on an educational adventure for both teachers and families. So whether you're a seasoned educator or a family navigating the school system, buckle up for the Ed Answer Key.
What about the topic of emotions? So we're talking about the emotions of the kids. The first thing that pops up in my head is the thing that we talked about initially as far as with poverty and the fact that, well, most of us are in the middle school level. Their emotional state varies from, I don't want to say minute to minute, but hour to hour, I would say. How do you manage that? How do you go about that as a teacher? You know, trying to talk about or address the teacher-student dependency issue. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to help you right now. What I see after that is the student will go back to their desk and they'll have this little emotional pouting party and they won't do anything for a little bit of time. So the emotional states of a student coming in, and because they're struggling as far as with poverty or whatever may be going on at home, I've had students emotionally that have been up and down. Now that I'm working more with our E&L population, that, hey, what's going on? Oh, I just came back from Chicago.
Right.
And I know what Chicago means now. I'm thinking Garrett's popcorn. They're going to court for some type of immigration type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And all the students, like when you say, oh, where'd he go? He went to Chicago. Like Chicago means something completely different. Going back and forth, it's just the emotional states that I've seen with our students and what they've had to work with is much wider, I feel like, with our E&L population.
Yeah, it's extremes in other cases sometimes.
Yeah, and they have those
and there's
too.
different extremes, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's an iceberg where we're in middle school and they're going through puberty, so the emotions are always there at the surface, very there.
Just ready.
But then so much more because of poverty, because of immigration, because of, all these other things that
Adult problems, unfortunately.
Exactly. And
Unfortunately.
we do not see those always until you kind of start, looking a little deeper and you're like, whoa.
Well, and sometimes it's from the start. I have a student, I describe him like his transition from the way he starts his day versus the way it continues. And it's like, sometimes we have students and they come off the buses and like they start their day and they come in and I call it hot and stupid. Like they're just ready. And for what? Like you just don't even, but we don't understand. We don't know what they just had to battle that morning or the night before, and then of course talking to parents, they're like, who are you trying to be? And some of it is a perception. They're trying to come off a certain way. So that's part of what we battle, of course, in middle school. They're trying to be a character. They're trying to be a certain, the main character in their story, whatever the hell they call it now. It's like, that's important to them. So it's like now we're trying to figure out, okay, who are you? What is who do you want to be? It's okay to change that. So
it'd be neat to me just to get almost as much information as we can on the trauma that different students experience. So if you got students that are new to the country, they've got a whole different experience than another Latino or Hispanic student that was born here,
totally,
or is second or third generation and just moved here from Florida, New York, California, just because it costs a living. So. Sure. I think sometimes we'll think they're undergoing the same trauma, but it's
different,
totally different experiences, right? And then when that teacher talks to you like that, and that might have been your only time that you had the courage to go talk to the teacher, and they told you, hey, go sit down, and hey, you 13 and you had to go through different things, and you got an adult that you actually wanted to talk to, and they shut you down, then it can almost bring that back up.
Totally.
And you don't even intend it to come out that way.
Damn, man.
Well, and the balance, when you think about that, like the balance of, and I've seen and heard, read, all the things about how middle school is really just about building the human. It's not really about the content and the knowledge. As much as we want to pretend it matters, it is important. I'm not saying you don't need it for your next steps and trajectory of education, but when you think about that child and that situation, and those are umpteen, unfortunately, and where do we balance when and how? We have these SEL coaches who are ideal to bring that more forward, but then you're also like, okay, how do we include that every day? how do we make sure that everybody feels that way or can feel that way? And is that part of our job? Like, is that part of our curriculum? Is that something that we should be doing? And that's where it's also challenging, because where are we allowed to some degree? I mean, I think there's some of that too when you find some information out. So I think it's an interesting balance.
One of my most probably crushing and just humbling moments as a teacher was when a student pulled me out of the classroom to talk in the hall about something, and I was literally thinking in my head, I don't have time for this. And that in that moment, I just realized, oh, I'm wearing too many hats. I need to start taking them off, because if I don't have time for my students and they know that my teacher is just way too busy for me to even, you know, talk to and share something with, you know, that just crushed me. And I knew, okay, something's got to change, you know, because I got to be there for my students.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Ed Answer Key. Your support means the world to us. Be sure to stay in the loop about upcoming topics by downloading our free podcast companion at www.edanswerkey.com. So until next time, class dismissed.